What's going on, everybody? We're back with episode number 8, and today we're going to continue our fantasy draft. Last episode, we did our fantasy draft for point guards. Today, we're going to do our fantasy draft for shooting guards. It's going to get very, very, very interesting. I already have a lot of good opinions, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who picks who. As I mentioned, as I always say, continue to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Also leave us a comment. If you dislike it, especially, leave us a comment, leave us a review. Same goes for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a download, give us a follow, and leave us a review or leave us a star rating. And if you're listening on Spotify, give us a download and also share this with your friends or whoever else interested in basketball. We're back with another episode here and a lot of stuff to get into. Let's get right into the content. And Carl, let's start with our first question from our Snapchat listener or viewer or whatever.
Hey, so the first question is from Samar from Snapchat. And he basically wants to know who's the better team right now, the Knicks or the Heat? I mean, the Knicks or the Bulls, my bad.
I say the Bulls right now. I think for one, offensively. And I mean, it's close too because, you look in New York right now. They got 10 times better on that end. We talked about last year, New York really didn't have much offense outside of, Julius Randle. When that part of his game got taken away, who was the guy to step up? It was just Derrick Rose, right? That's no insult to Derrick Rose at all, but, you just need more options on the offensive end if you want to be effective and want to make a deep run. So New York does have options. You have Kemba Walker now. You brought back Alec Burks. Hopefully, Emmanuel Quickley's in the lineup a lot more. And getting some, more consistent minutes. I'm not even to say he didn't get any minutes last year because he was getting a lot of playing time in the playoffs. Quentin Grimes is there, so maybe you solve some of your three-point shooting issues. But you match that up with what Chicago has. They're just a super well-balanced team. You got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic. Those are three guys who can give you 20 points or over. And then you mentioned your bench. Kobe White, is going to continue to make strides offensively. Lauri Markkanen, if he's going to be there next season. So I think, right now, and also the defensive balance too, having Lonzo Ball and Patrick Williams. So I think they're just a well put together team. I also like their coaching, and that's no insult at all to Tibbs. His coaching, I think, was the reason why New York was able to make that turnaround from the season before to what they did last season. But I think right now Chicago is just a better built team, and I think they're more built to make a deep playoff run and maybe make it to the East Finals, depending on how everything goes.
Yeah. What about you, Blake?
I'd have to agree with Ty. I think it's a little bit closer than you think, talent-wise, seeing as who the Knicks have. You matched them up with Chicago going down the line, but I think it's the Bulls have a little bit of edge just based off of how balanced, just like how you said, Ty, how balanced their team is and how they can really stretch out their score. Like Lonzo can go for 15 and 10. LaVine go for 20, 30, DeRozan 20 or 30, Lauri Markkanen looking like he's going to say 10, 15, 20 off the bench, Patrick Williams and Vucevic. I'll give them 10, 15.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a high power offense than the Knicks. Yeah. I want to see how the Knicks, how they work this Kemba D-Rose, this little pairing out first before.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think the Bulls are probably a more rounded team as far as like on the defensive end, it can match up with their offense. With the Knicks, their defense is like great, obviously, but their offense lacks. Sometimes you never really know you're going to get enough offense from them, but you're going to get defense. But with the Bulls, it looks like you're going to get a lot of offense with DeMar DeRozan, potentially Lauri Markkanen if he stays. And then you got, of course, Zach LaVine. So you probably want to have enough offense from them. But with Knicks, you just never know.
Yeah. How much better do you think the Knicks got offensively getting Kemba Walker, though? Like, I think, and there are a lot of criticism.
They got better.
They got much better. I mean, it's a lot better than what they had.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I do think, there's when you grade New York's offseason, for them to be able to bring back some of the guys like Alec Burks, and like, just bringing in Kemba Walker on a cheap contract. Like, Kemba Walker's on a really good season, like 20 plus points per game on like maybe the mid 40s, on a bad season, low 40s, but he's still a 20-point a game scorer. And I think he boosts your offense up a ton, and as I said, the guys they drafted too, and maybe Obi Toppin, gets more in the lineup and gets more opportunities to show off the shooting and all of that. So I do think New York made a lot of strides offensively, big time. And I do think they're a much better team than what they were last year. And I think the issues that they needed to solve, they solved it by going out and getting the guys that they got. But as we've all said, just from a standpoint of being well-rounded and all of that, I think I like Chicago a lot more. I think maybe their experience is going to be in question. Nikola Vucevic has been in the playoffs a handful of times. I think maybe twice in his career. Zach LaVine hasn't. Zach LaVine hasn't even experienced winning that much. I think he mentioned being in the Olympics was the first time where he won 4 straight games since, I think, college, right?
That's crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy. So, I think the experience is one thing you can question with this team, and then you look at New York and you have Derrick Rose and you have, Julius Randle, who kind of got that, got his welcoming into the playoffs last season. And I think he's going to make a lot of strides, so the experience thing is going to kind of be a factor. I don't think we've seen Lonzo in the playoffs either. DeRozan is a guy who kind of bounces out from an experience standpoint. But no, I think Chicago, just from how they were able to build this team up, combined with their coaching. And also you think about how solid they were defensively already last season. Now you add Alonzo and, now you add a more confident, more seasoned Patrick Williams to your lineup. I think they're going to be very dangerous. And we're going to talk about them a little bit more, throughout the episode, because there was a news article or a set of articles that came out about some executives saying stuff about the team. But no, I think Chicago's in a very, very good place. And they're probably at the top 5 of my watch list next season. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I say in the East.
Top 3. They top 3 for me.
In the East, I give them probably the 5th seed.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see them getting 5.
Yeah.
No more than 4.
Yeah, not even 5, but like as far as teams you're excited to watch, like where would they stack up as far as just new teams, new put together teams that you're just excited to see play?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5.
Okay.
Top 5, yeah.
It's them. It's Chicago. I'm kind of excited for LA. I'll admit it, and Houston.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me see, man. Let me see. It's not in order either. So it's probably like the Bulls. I still want to see what the Hornets got.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm interested with the Magic. I just want to see Lakers, of course. And probably the Nets, whole full season, them healthy. I want to see what that's like.
I'm not too. I don't know if I want to watch them play that much. I remember last season seeing it, and I was like, I don't want to see this. But yeah, Chicago's definitely going to be fun to see. I'm excited to see what they do, and I think the situation is great. I don't want to go too much into them, but I think this season is great for Lonzo's development, for him to kind of finally be in a situation where he's going to consistently win and get that opportunity. So yeah, that's what we got for that one.
Yeah. So this next question is kind of going what you talked about in the first part of the last question with D Rose or whatever like that. So this is from Micah from Snapchat. He basically wants to know, who are you taking, prime D Rose or prime Russell Westbrook?
I'm going prime Russ. Yeah. I mean, you people don't realize prime Russ is 2000. What year do you want MVP? 2017.
17. So even before that, still. Yeah,
like prime Russ. Russ at his absolute peak. So Russ's MVP season matched up with Derrick Rose's MVP season. I love it. Yeah, but it to me, it doesn't really balance out. You look at the narrative. Westbrook lost Durant, and he was able to kind of take. I'm not going to act like the team didn't have any talent. They had some solid pieces out there, but that wasn't a team that I think was meant to be as good as they were, and they definitely kind of exceeded expectations. They weren't spectacular, but they were still pretty solid. He was the clutchest player in the NBA that entire season, and he averaged a triple-double, while getting his team to win. So when people come to me with he's aiming and all of that stuff, well, I mean, how much is that a criticism when he did it while he was able to take a team that wasn't meant to win? So I'd have to go with Russ, and no disrespect at all to prime Derrick Rose, but I mean, he was a scoring champ that season too, I think. So I got Russ. Yeah.
I mean, did we ever really see D Rose's prime though?
1 year, maybe 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. Because how old was he when he first got hurt?
Man, he got hurt the year after his MVP season. Yeah.
24, 25.
So, I mean, I can't really choose between the two because I feel like we really didn't get to see his legit prime.
Yeah. Well, we saw what. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
We saw what was his prime. I think what you're alluding to is we didn't really get to see him at his absolute peak. Like we knew there was a lot more where he can go, but we saw what was his prime. So like I think the question is like, are you basically taking MVP D Rose or MVP Russ? I think it's what it comes
Yeah,
to.
okay.
But I mean, I'll take MVP Russ. That's any day. But I mean, prime wise, I think after that MVP season, I really believe there was another level he could go to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's sad that we really didn't get to those injuries. Kind of.
Yeah, because you look at him now, his kind of weird. Like at first, he was kind of known for his jumper wasn't. It was like decent, but it can be better. His jumper is better now than it was when he was better. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
D Rose, I'm talking about. Yeah, his prime was definitely cut short by injury. Because like if you compare MVP to MVP season, I think D Rose probably had 23 points, but Russ averaged near 30 with a triple double. Yeah. So it's not comparable.
Yeah, and I do want to. I think one of y'all said something about it. How he's been able to reinvent himself is amazing. Like I think and he's probably not going to be in the Hall of Fame, which is sad. But for him to come off of being an MVP and I think he had 2 ACL injuries because he had the one in 2012 and then the one that season he came back in 2014 where he hurt himself again, and that may have been a different one.
I think that was his ankle.
Yeah. He had an MCL too.
Yeah. But for him to reinvent himself and kind of turn himself into like we always talk about teams needing a guy who can get them a bucket off the bench. He's become that type of player. And he was also the last couple of seasons, he's been a very, very coveted, highly coveted free agent. So to see him like reinvent himself the way that he's been able to and stay solid, he's not a top 10 point guard anymore, but he's been able to stay solid. And he's a valuable piece to any team because of his leadership and his experience and his ability to put the ball in the basket. I think it's been something to see, so I'm still taking Russ, but you have to have this level of appreciation for Derrick Rose and how he's been able to stay relevant in the game of basketball for, such a long time. Like you're thinking it's been 10 years since his MVP season. So.
Yeah, I can say this though, when they were both at their athletic peak, they were very similar as far as athleticism.
Yeah. So
like we never saw guards jump that high. Except Mike, obviously, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But other than that, like in Kobe and stuff like that, and D-Wade, we never saw guards at that height, at 6'2" and 6'3", jump that high.
Yeah. And there were like a select few names, like you're talking about Kevin Johnson in the 90s. Then
it's not a lot.
Who were some other shorter guards who were jumping like that?
Oh, Spud Webb. Spud Webb's probably the best, actually.
Who'd you say, Blake?
Steve Francis.
Yeah. But you took that combined with, as Carl mentioned, is his, overall skill and all of that. So yeah, but no, yeah, I'm going with Russ on this one. Y'all know Russ is one of my favorite players ever, and so I'm gonna run with him on it. But Derrick Rose obviously was a different type of dude, in his peak. So shout out to D Rose.
Say Russ, one of your favorite players, you want to come over to the Lakers? We got a spot. We got a spot for you. He ain't that favorite, huh?
I'll root for him because I want to see him get a ring. Like I think the thing I want the most out of this, I want him to win a ring more than I want the Wizards to do anything this season. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So yeah. But another great question. That's probably one of the most. I probably debated with people about that for like the last couple of years, like the Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's really. I don't want to sound wrong, but I really don't think it's that close. I'm being honest.
I don't think it's. Think about it. When you just like Ty said, comparing them to MVP seasons,
it's not that close because he averaged almost 8 more points than him.
Mm-hmm. It was
very good seasons though. Don't get me wrong. 2 great seasons, but
in two completely different situations as well. He kind of had that MVP season where the scoring wasn't. It's still 20 plus points a game, and I think I think around 20 points a game. If you're between 20 or 25, maybe today that's like 26, 28 almost. Maybe not.
Because it's for real back in like 2013. When did he win? 2012? 2011.
You won 2011, yeah.
2011. Back then, the most person scored per game was probably 26.
It was around 26, 27.
26, 27. And KD was probably at the top all the time. It was him, LeBron, and maybe Kobe. That's it. And then as we start getting, past years, 31 is like now the peak. So that's a big jump.
Yeah. There's also the how young he was narrative too. Like, is he still the youngest MVP of all time?
Yes, he was like 23 when he won.
Yeah. So shout out to D Rose. But I'm running with Russ on this one. Also, whoever put out that top 10 ranking and decided it was a good idea to put Russell Westbrook in. If you follow us, you know what we're talking about. I don't know what that was about, but yeah.
I'm not even no Russ fan like that, but is no way he should be 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't
They
realize how unreal averaging a triple-double is. That's just next level stuff.
You see that list, they're gonna make that man break the rim. He already be dunking hard. You want him to break it? Be breaking his shoulder blade when he done.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can move on to the next. The next question is from Timothy from Snapchat. He wants to know, are the Warriors a threat in the West? I think they definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
With this team, I think they'll be even more dangerous when Klay comes back.
Yeah.
I really see them as really the only team except for Phoenix that can honestly, except for Phoenix that can really challenge the Lakers come playoff time.
Man, I'm scared of them. The Flash brothers, I think people forgot how lethal they are.
And also, like, we don't talk about their defense too. Like, you think about who they picked up, Moses Moody and Jonathon Kuminga were, two guys a lot of people talked about with the draft, with their, not only their offensive ability and their skill set, but their ability to defend, and also going back and getting Andre Iguodala. So I honestly think the Warriors are defensively this year, they were pretty damn good too. So I honestly think, having JTA too, like he was a, really highly coveted 3-and-D guy, not even highly coveted, but had a great season last year, showing his ability as a 3-and-D guy, bringing in Otto Porter Jr., which was, I think I mentioned, one of the more underrated pickups of the offseason. So when you talk about what they have offensively, but defensively, they're just going to be amazing. I think James Wiseman is going to take massive strides defensively as well, where he kind of had a lot to work from on that end last season. So no, they're definitely like, I'm probably putting them at number 2 behind the Lakers. I think I favor them to get to the finals relative to like a Phoenix, where Phoenix made it last year, so I'm a big Warriors fan for next season. I think they have a lot of amazing pieces. Hopefully if they're able to stay healthy throughout the entirety of the season, especially after getting Klay, they're able to make some noise. But no, I think they're going to be absolutely dangerous. They're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, for the Warriors fans out there, I don't think when Klay comes back, you are not going to have to worry about the play. You will be right there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the play. No, y'all going to be probably second, third seed, probably second. You never know. It could be one. You never know, because people just, all the best teams always got the best record, but still, be right there.
For sure. And also, too, I kind of, we don't talk enough about the time that he took to develop, not even develop, but the time he took to rehab himself. Like, I think it's been basically not even 2 seasons.
4 years.
2 years?
Yep.
Yeah. So
his last time he played was at 2019 finals.
That is true.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, he hurt himself again. Right when he was, I think it was in practice, he tore his ACL again.
Yeah. So he's been given sufficient amount of time to really to really rehab. And also too, like, we're very critical of Golden State's medical staff too, because I think the Kevin Durant situation, how they handled that. But hopefully they're able to get it right with Klay. I think management of his minutes is going to be super, super important. Like, I can definitely see him coming in. He's set to play on Christmas, right? So I can definitely see him coming in and then having a
25.
I can see him having a major minutes restriction. So we're not going to see a ton of them, from that like December to like maybe late January, phase. But I definitely think, when he's fully acclimated and he's been able to kind of have a sufficient amount of time, he's going to be absolutely dangerous. I think maybe I'd give him, what would you guys say Klay is going to average this season?
15, 17.
Yeah. I can see around that range. Carl, I can see around that range.
That's too low for me. I'm giving him 20, like at least 20 to 22. He's a shooter, bro. He doesn't rely on athleticism. So once he gets going,
that's true.
Shot is in. He's not known for athleticism. So he like KD. He don't got no problem. Even if he get leg injury, he gonna step in right away. He gonna be getting bucket.
I think I agree with the 15, 17, because I do think, as I mentioned, that him I think there's going to be a minutes restriction, so that's obviously going to affect your average. So
he's not going to be playing 35 minutes.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying they're going to ramp it up sooner or later. I see him averaging more than 15.
But after January, you pretty much have like what you got February, and then you have a little bit of March. So I think it'll be around. I'm giving like maybe 16 to 18, maybe. I don't think 20. I could be wrong, obviously, but
I mean, I could be too.
You never know, but I think like real. I don't know. I'm looking at
it from the standpoint of how they handled KD when he came back from his torn Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
You see how Brooklyn just kind of slowly increases minutes, but he was still like averaging like 23. I'm not saying Klay Thompson's Kevin Durant, but from a shooting standpoint, he is. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, the way they inclined his minutes, and he was still averaging 23 points and 23 and 25, 26, and 27. Because you remember for a little bit, people tried to say Kevin Durant might be MVP. Remember that in the middle of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he didn't play enough games. But still, yeah, I think that's going to get him 20.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, my response to that is I think you acknowledge it. That's Kevin Durant. So
Yeah, but Klay Thompson is.
Yeah.
That's still KD, so you can't really.
Yeah. But no, I think he'll be just fine. But I think Golden State is more than a threat. I think they're going to be absolutely dangerous next season. And I do think they can give the Lakers 7. I love the Lakers, and I think the Lakers are the top dog right now. But I do think we're talking about just matching up. They can 100% give the Lakers a ton of problems with how good they are offensively, how good they are defensively as well. You talk about some of, so I think they're going to be just fine. I don't think there's anything to worry about if you're a Warriors fan. The only thing is health, because we've seen that screw them over the last couple of years. Like we remember the first year when KD was gone, Curry ends up getting hurt. After also Klay, obviously tore his ACL in that Raptors series. There was that season when we were freshmen in college. And then, Curry, they remember they got that really bad start. And then Curry ended up getting hurt too, and that just screwed the whole season up. So,
They just said.
What do you say?
They just said shut it down after he got hurt.
They did. I remember that. Did he like break his hand or something too? Or
somebody sat on his hand.
That's crazy. Because I feel like that freshman year, that was like 3 seasons ago with the bubble happening. It threw everything off.
Everything off.
It feel like the bubble season was 2 seasons, which it kind of was.
Yeah.
How
long was the break in between? Dang,
like 4 months.
It was like 4 months because I think they got started. The finals didn't end until October, and I think they got started in either July or late July or August.
Or early August.
And we got sent home. The day we got sent home was the day the NBA shut down. So, that was a that was an entire summer pretty much. That was more than an entire summer.
We were on spring break. I think I was on spring break. I don't know if you all were.
We were.
Yeah, it was still spring when they canceled it.
Yeah, it was like early spring. So, that's really insane to think about. But, all injuries aside, Golden State should be top 4 in the West, at absolute worst. So, I think they're going to be just fine. And Dubs fans have nothing to worry about this upcoming season.
I don't want to see them win nothing, but
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a series. That's going to be a hell of a series. Lakers versus Warriors, if it happens. Because with the
Warriors won enough. They need to suffer.
First round exit.
They need to suffer.
The Warriors have had I think they've had their good amount of years where they can kind of learn their lesson with the KD thing. They've had about 2 seasons of being not bad.
But no, they need one more. They need one more.
Yeah, whatever.
They was like Blake said, they were dominating. They were dominating over them teams. They need one more season to just be bad.
Yeah,
I want to see.
You hating on Golden State for, Carl?
Because they always used to beat the hell out of everybody.
But I think they're going to be just fine, and I think hopefully we can see Curry have another ridiculous season. A lot of people forget he was. If they would have gotten into the play-in, he probably would have been MVP last year, So not even in the play-in, but if they would have gotten to the playoffs, he probably would have been MVP. They're going to be. I think the Warriors are in perfect shape. They have a great mix of vets with young guys, and I think a lot of people also don't talk about how well they've been drafting over the last couple of years. Like they have drafted very, very well. They've gotten some very, very underrated picks. I know Blake's guy Jordan Poole. I think Steve Kerr mentioned he's going to be in the lineup a lot more, and there may be a situation early in the season where he's going to be their starting 2 guard. We saw what he had to bring to the table as a scorer. So he's going to continue to grow in that area. James Wiseman is going to continue to develop after a season where I don't even think he played half the games. I could be wrong about that.
He did. I don't think.
They got Kuminga too. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, Kuminga and Moody, and those 2 guys are gonna get time in that rotation, and Andre Iguodala. So they probably have the best mix of veteran presence with young guys. And it's not even just veteran guys who've been in the league for a long time. It's veteran guys with multiple championships. Draymond, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala. Like these are older guys who have 3 rings at this point. So I think if you're a Warriors rookie these last couple of seasons, you're in a perfect situation. And Steve Kerr knows how to get you in a game and give you playing time. So, I think Golden State's there's a lot of interesting narratives and storylines about Golden State, but they're going to be more than fine this upcoming season for sure.
Yeah, they might be running the possibility of going 8 deep in the playoffs instead of 7. They probably are going to go 8.
And we've seen those Golden State teams go very, very deep, even in the finals.
Yeah. But yeah, like with this is way back. So I don't know if you have Barbosa, you had David Lee, you had Bogut that started occasionally sometimes, Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, that's 6.
Livingston.
Yeah. They used to play 8 people.
Yeah, they used to go very deep. So I can definitely see that happening. Also depends on experience too, but I can definitely see them go that deep, especially when it comes down to the playoffs. So yeah, as I mentioned like 100 times, Golden State fans, you're going to be in very, very good shape this upcoming season, barring all injuries, and hopefully, prayerfully, there are no injuries at all. So yeah, great questions. Keep bringing them in. Keep submitting them. They get us started with the episode and a good way to break the ice a little bit. So keep bringing them in. We love them. I want to talk to you guys about this. There was a report that came out where NBA executives not even ranked, but they said the worst move of the offseason was the Bulls bringing in DeMar DeRozan. What, I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you guys see the article? I think I posted it. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. But my question to you is, was it like one of those ones that, what's the word? Anonymous executives where they don't say who it was?
Yeah, like executives aren't going to reveal themselves.
Yeah, that's lame to me. Why are you coming out talking about stuff?
I think people mentioned that somebody mentioned that they were mad they couldn't land DeRozan or something like that.
That's what it was, because they're by far that's not the worst. If anything, that's one of the best.
Yeah. No, and also I do kind of understand, like, getting to the basketball side of things, I do understand where some questions come in, because while we can commend this team for making the moves that they did by bringing in Lonzo and by bringing in DeRozan himself, and by having Vucevic on their roster and having a guy like Zach LaVine who is coming off a gold medal and all of that, which is great for players' development, as we've seen with a couple of guys. There are definitely still some questions. Like, I think spacing, for one, is going to be kind of something to think about. You have DeRozan in your lineup and you're surrounding him with Lonzo. And I think Lonzo's been in a lot of weird situations over the course of his career where he's been kind of paired up with a guy who – I think the best situation for Lonzo is to kind of have him and have two guys around him who are obviously dudes who can create their own looks, but can kind of catch and shoot. So I think that DeMar DeRozan, that entire dynamic is going to be pretty interesting to see. Having a guy who hasn't really shown the ability to stretch the floor and knock down threes, not only showing the ability, but isn't really willing to stretch the floor and knock down threes. Who knows? Maybe we see him develop as a three-point shooter next season, because his numbers, that's something that they'll probably need out of him. But I think if you're an executive, to me, it was ridiculous to say it was the worst move of the offseason, but I think it's interesting to talk about, because there's still some questions to be answered about this Bulls team. Like, obviously they were great moves, but there's still some kind of flaws, within the team right now. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. I thought it was ridiculous to say it was the worst move, but I think at the end of the day, there are still some questions to ask about spacing and how we're going to integrate DeMar DeRozan into the offense and all of that. So
Yeah, I definitely get the concerns, but to say this is the worst is kind of overstretching it.
Yeah.
Because you still have DeMar DeRozan, who I think hasn't gotten enough respect. Like, he's still a multiple-time All-Star. He can score. I get the spacing part of it because he doesn't really shoot threes. But I feel like if he really, get repetition of him, I think he can knock him down. I've seen him hit him before.
Yeah.
I kind of compare him like to D-Wade for a point. He shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers, but when you need him to shoot a three, I think he can make it.
Do you think so? Yeah.
I think he can make it. I've seen him make them. Like, I'm not saying he's going to shoot 40%.
It's not like he can't shoot at all.
Yeah, because he can shoot. So I don't think he's going to – he can probably at least shoot 32% from three if he shot more. I mean, that's not good, but that might be better than nothing.
Is he reliable enough to have him in the corner as a potential catch and shoot threat when a guy is hot and he's in trouble and he needs to kick it to somebody? I think that's where the concern is coming from.
That's up in the air, but we haven't seen them that be asked of them yet. So yeah. I can't answer it, if I'm being honest.
True. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good point. And maybe, maybe there doesn't need to be the situation where we're going to ask him to be a catch and shoot guy. I think somebody mentioned, a big thing about the NBA now is kind of the dribble handoff offense, where you can work guys you can kind of play guys who aren't really willing to shoot three balls. You can play them within the offense. I think Billy Donovan kind of deployed it a little bit already with Zach LaVine last season. And there was another team that kind of deployed it a lot. With the guy, I forget who the player is and I forget what team ran it a lot, but, and Billy Donovan is not a bad coach. Like, I think we forget about how good of a coach he is. And obviously, obviously you look at his resume, it's not super, super impressive. Like that, he did get to the West Finals, but the stain on that is he got to the West Finals and choked away a lead. But, still as a head coach and from a strategic standpoint, he did a lot with that Chicago team last year. I think we mentioned defense a little bit earlier when we talked about them. They didn't really have a lot of great defensive bodies, and they ranked pretty solidly in the NBA in terms of defensive rating. Like, I think they had to be within that top 20, which isn't great, but it's kind of impressive for a team that doesn't have, like, let's name were there any great defensive bodies in Chicago last season outside of like Patrick Williams? Maybe Thaddeus Young, but that's not a team you can build a great defense with. But he's been able to manage it a lot. So I don't think he's going to have many issues. It's going to be obviously something to work with, but I think he can probably find a way to integrate DeRozan in that offense. Carl mentioned underrated parts about DeRozan's game. One thing we don't talk about is his ability as a playmaker. Like, he was a really good playmaker last season. I think he jumped up to like 7 assists a game. So maybe, who knows, maybe we ask Lonzo to be in situations where DeRozan's handling the ball, which he did a lot of in San Antonio, and maybe he's the floor stretch guy, which I don't think totally optimizes Lonzo's game. And I think it was an issue last season when he was in New Orleans. But, it's a lot of different scenarios you can kind of work through. So
it is.
We'll see what happens.
It's the way. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be some growing pains because, they're still a young team with a couple veteran guys.
Yeah.
So that's a good mix, though. Anytime you have a young team, but you got a couple, veterans, most likely you're going to go get through the growing pains. But I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Were you going to say anything about that, Blake?
I said it earlier. I don't know if y'all heard me.
Yeah, because let me see. Lonzo probably, he's improved enough to become catch and shoot. I can rely on him to be a catch and shoot.
My only concern with the Chicago thing is I know a lot of people talked about when Lonzo got traded to Chicago, we talked about it being a better situation for him. But is it really, if he's back in the situation to where we're going to kind of be asking him to be a catch and shoot guy? Because that was my issue with New Orleans last season.
True.
They asked him too much to come on, and he did well in that. I think he did very well in it. He shot, Blake talked about it. He had a lot of growth as a 3-point shooter. But like I said, is his game really going to be optimized that much in Chicago relative to New Orleans? Like, I think we're going to see a lot of situations where he falls back into that role that he was in New Orleans. So that's kind of also my concern too,
I don't think he will. I mean, if they do, it'll be probably like occasionally, but you sign him to be that main facilitator. And you're not going to play him off. You're not going to play him off the ball and have DeRozan bring the ball up most of the time. So,
yeah,
I think it's a lot of different scenarios, and the good thing about it all is they have a lot of guys they can work with. I think that's kind of a coach's dream. So while it's a challenge, there's still a lot for Billy Donovan to work from and pick and choose from. You mentioned having Patrick Williams too, and having bigs that can stretch the floor, because I don't think there's a team whose front court or their two big men can stretch the floor quite like Chicago's. Like, I think Chicago may have the best combination of shooting bigs, right? Patrick Williams is much of a big, but he's going to play the 4. And you have him out there with Nikola Vucevic, or let's say you want to start Larry Markkinen with Nikola Vucevic. Those are another set of bigs who can really stretch the floor and knock down shots at a high level from the perimeter. So yeah, they're playing with house money. Not really playing with house money, but they have a lot to work from. I think they're in good shape. There are definitely some questions. Carl mentioned the experience too. That starting 5 doesn't have a bunch of playoff experience, and if they do, it's not deep playoff experience at all. Like, maybe once. It's
literally only DeRozan.
Yeah.
Vucevic got a little bit.
But it's not what it is compared to Vucevic. I mean, compared to DeRozan, got like probably 7 playoff appearances.
Vucevic has a first-round sweep experience. I don't know how helpful that's going to be, but no, I love.
If we want to go to DeMar, got it too.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell you.
And I love Vucevic's game. Shout out to Vucevic, because he's one of the best, most underrated. He's going to go down as one of the more underrated bigs. We talk about, bigs in like the 90s or whatever, in the 80s that, didn't get a lot of shine or whatever. Vucevic is going to end up being one of those guys. I think he's a multiple-time All-Star, but I don't think people really grasp how great of a player he is. But I think they got a lot to work from. I think they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, hopefully him playing with this team, it looks like they're going to be a playoff team that give people a full, like, they can visualize how good he is, because he was always with the Magic, and nobody really watched him like that, unless you're an Orlando fan, probably, because they're kind of bad. But hopefully this helps people recognize their game more, his game more. I think he got a jump hook, he can shoot, he can pass, he's really good. I don't know.
He's really one of those last, like,
big man.
Yeah,
It's not a lot left. It's a couple.
Very complete skill set. And I think is there a big man with more range than Vucevic in the NBA right now? Because I'll see Vucevic pull up from deep. Like he'll pull up from like maybe I'm not good with measurements. He pulls up from deep. There's Jokic, but
Jokic. I was about to say Jokic.
Yeah.
AD, if you count him as a big man.
Yeah, I mean at the center spots, but maybe just at the center spot. 80's a big man. So yeah,
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to because these dudes are big men, but they play like a forward.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They're shooting like power forwards would shoot mid-range shots. So even centers nowadays really don't have a position because they're running point. Some of them running point, like Joker running point.
Yeah. We saw DeMarcus Cousins do it. I'm not even running point, but I remember when they were in New Orleans and they were running like him and AD were running pick and rolls with each other. It was hilarious.
And that duo could have been something special. I swear.
That would have been the best big man duo of all time. If they were healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah. I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Right. That's that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because I thought it was interesting and it got a lot of reaction from our people on Snapchat. But we're going to go into our draft, our shooting guard draft. I want to ask you guys this question, not you guys, but the viewers. Who has the best team? So I'm going to name off who had who so far. I'm going to name off who had who so far. So I had Steph Curry, John Stockton, Penny Hardaway, Rajon Rondo, Nate Archibald, Tony Parker, Chauncey Billups, Dave Bing, Clyde Frazier, Bob Cousy, and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf on my team. Blake had Magic. Blake had Russell Westbrook. He had Big O. He had Mo Cheeks. He had Kyle Lowry. He had Mike Conley. He had Alvin Robertson. He had Gary Payton. He had Sidney Moncrief. And he had Tim Hardaway. And then Carl.
Yeah, the winner.
We'll see. Carl had Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Dame, Isaiah Thomas from Detroit, Steve Francis, Kevin Johnson, Kyrie Irving, Derrick Rose. Did he pull up a trash can?
Yeah, I guess he did, bro. I thought it was a sweater. So I know what he's
doing. Stephon Marbury. Carlos had Stephon Marbury. Mark Price. The best pick from Carl was Mookie Blaylock. Dennis Johnson.
Hey, that's spin move.
Dennis Johnson, Jason Williams, Darren Williams, and Gilbert Arenas, plus Mark Jackson and Nick Van Exel. So,
let's give it up for Carl, man.
Put the trash can down, bro.
Give it up for Carl, man.
So that's who had who. Let us know who you thought had the best team. Personally, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm not even gonna say it. Personally, I think I had the best team. Not even trying to be funny.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
that's bias.
I mean, I'm gonna be biased towards myself, obviously.
What is he talking about? Of course, you're gonna say you.
You go for rigging drafts.
Oh, here you go. I just think personally, I'm gonna just say myself since I had the best scoring. I have scorers on my team. They all can get buckets.
I got.
I got some defensive. Players. They ain't that good. They overrated. All of them.
Mo Cheeks automatically puts me over both of y'all.
I
want you to say that one dude name again, though.
Mookie Blaylock.
That's spin move, boy. I did.
No, Mookie was one of the best. Mookie was one of the best defenders ever, though. He was.
You talking about that stiff arm, bro?
You said stiff arm. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we're gonna go same order. Unless Blake, do you have any like attention to the draft? Are you content with the draft order?
Yes, I am.
Because y'all don't realize this, but every time we do a draft, whether it's fantasy, like he's been doing this for like 3 years. Every time we do it, he cries about the order. Like I control.
I don't say that. Because the first time you did it, you ended up with the second. Okay, I had the first pick, but you had the second and the third pick.
That's a snake draft, bro.
Made the draft.
I said, I'm not even gonna do this right now. Okay,
I got the third and fourth. I know that.
Yeah, so we're going. Was it Blake at 1, me at 2, and Carl at 3, and then he ends up coming back around. And then he gets the next pick, and then so on and so forth. Everybody have the list up.
Yep.
Okay, so with the first overall pick, I already know who it is. So I'm going.
It's pretty obvious.
I don't even know why y'all doing this, man. You already know.
I would pick Kobe. I'm just playing.
Yeah, Blake's gonna. Obviously you're picking Michael Jordan.
Thinking Michael Jordan.
Okay, just making sure, unless there was some other nonsense. So he's going Michael Jordan at 1. We're not going to explain that. There's nothing to say.
Come on now.
At number 2, I'm going with the most skilled basketball player to ever play this game, Kobe Bryant. I want to talk a little bit about that because I've been saying that on Snapchat, and Carl and Blake have had a lot of debates about that. But I think
I came around on it. I remember I didn't agree at first.
I definitely see why. But when you look at Kobe Bryant's game, it was just very complete. The only criticism I've ever heard about Kobe Bryant's game, we figured out that he doesn't pass narrative is nonsense. Like that's a ridiculous narrative. Kobe was a dude who showed the ability to play within a system and win within a system. You know, Michael Jordan showed the ability to play within a triangle. So did Kobe. And maybe obviously the offense maybe was tailored for their games and all that, but he found a way to play within the system and win within the system. So there's not many criticisms for Kobe's game outside of the efficiency that he shot a lot or whatever. But when you look at it from a basketball skill standpoint, was a great passer for a shooting guard. I think he showed that. He really showed his ability to, you know, pass and play make in that 2013 season where he got hurt with the Achilles injury. But that, in my opinion, was his best passing year when he was playing with Dwight and those guys. You know, you talk about defense, right? I think Kobe personally was a better defender than Michael Jordan. That's going to kill a lot of people. But when you look at his competition level at that position that he played, Allen Iverson, T-Mac, those are the guys he was checking. Like he would go out and check the best player on the opposing team and come back and give you 28 plus. So that's why I say those things about Kobe.
Yeah, your defense thing, I didn't really realize it until you said the people versus who Michael Jordan guarded, which Scottie Pippen guarded the best player most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you brought to my attention, Kobe guarded the best player most of the time. So he guarded LeBron, Kevin Durant, Allen Iverson, D-Wade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like top 20 players right there for real. You can see.
I've come around on the defense side of it.
You got to look at the defense, bro.
I agree with you, but when you say most skilled, I don't know.
It's debatable. It's not like
it's debatable.
Yeah, I know it's debatable, but it's just like I don't know. I can't really call him the most skilled, just knowing that most of those moves are Mr. Jordan's.
But I gotta say this too. There are a lot of similarities with Jordan's game with some other guys' game. You know what I mean? I think Jordan did the best, but you know, Jordan took influence from guys too. Like if you go watch any Michael Jordan interview, he'll go tell you about the guys that influenced his game. So
Dr. J.
Yeah, like Dr. J. Like they were just, I'm not saying they were the same dude, but there are a lot of similarities with his play style. And Jordan would tell you straight up, Dr. J was a guy that I grew up watching. And it was another guy, Thompson. Was it David Thompson? He also mentioned he got a lot.
Jerry West was one.
Great players pick up inspiration. I understand Kobe was a little bit more explicit with it because he would mention, okay, you know, I would chew my gum the same way as Mike and all of that. But for him to target Michael Jordan and say, I want to be better than Mike and all of that, and for him to come close to it, it's an amazing storyline. So, yeah, he had some parts in his game that were very similar to Mike's, but I think he had a tougher degree of difficulty on his shots. I think obviously the game was different, you know, when Kobe was in his prime and when Jordan was in his prime, but he was rangier. Yeah. You know, we didn't really get to see Jordan take a bunch of threes, but he was rangier than Mike. So that's where I get all of that from.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's hard to compare because you're looking at a point where Kobe was, and a lot of other players were shooting deep threes, and threes in the 90s weren't a thing. People weren't shooting unless you were just specifically a three-point shooter.
Right.
So I thought about this. It's really hard to compare areas like that because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, very true.
But people were asked to do different things, but I would say I can move it on. My third pick is obvious. I'm gonna pick D-Wade, you know, Flash. You know, it's kind of obvious because you can debate him with what's his name, but I just think people forget before LeBron came there how lethal he was. It was Kobe, LeBron, and D-Wade, three best players in the league. That's who it was. You can low key kind of interchange him with LeBron at times. I don't know. People, D-Wade fans probably did, but he was probably that third on that list because when LeBron came to Miami, if he would have stayed the same D-Wade, they probably would have won more than 2 rings. Because when LeBron came there, he was kind of broken down. He had like knee injuries.
Well, yeah, he wasn't broken down those first 2 seasons though.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying, over time compared to who he he wasn't D-Wade. He was just Dwayne Wade. Then he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't D-Wade.
He was D-Wade that first and second year.
Them first couple years, I give you that he was. But them 3, 4, 5, it was clearly showing he wasn't.
Yeah.
My next one, you know, AI. That was easy.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's easy.
It surprised me a little bit. Okay. Go ahead, Blake.
I think I'm gonna go with. I was kind of debating this a little bit, but I think I'm gonna go with Harden.
Okay, I was, you know what though? I see where Carl's coming from. I was wondering why Carl let him slide a little bit, but I see where he's coming from.
Nah, I'm not no Mr. He be reading, trying to get fouled all the time. I want somebody to score.
Y'all better not take my next pick though, man.
Yeah, my next pick. Damn, my next pick. I'm gonna go with. This is actually pretty tough because.
Come on, Ty. Come on, don't do it.
I mean, off of resume, I got to go with Jerry West.
Okay.
Off of resume, and then I remember watching the video of him last night, and I kind of developed a different type of appreciation for their game. You got to realize when you watch those guys highlight clips from like the 60s and 70s or whatever, they had to adjust to a different set of rules. So you could dribble the ball a certain way. So a lot of these guys probably had not Kyrie level handles, but a lot of these guys probably did have handles and all that stuff. Like, you got to think about it. Pete Maravich grew up around the 50s and 60s or whatever. So these dudes were still showing off the ability to handle the ball and all of that. But when you got to the NBA, they just were a certain set of rules. So when you're watching their highlights, you know, they're dribbling the ball a certain way. They're not doing a bunch of flashy stuff because of like palming the ball rules and all of that. But, you know, I remember watching stuff and just reading through the rules and all of that, the league at that time, and just seeing, you know, it was a different level of regulation. And I think, you know, just watching Jerry West play, you know, being a high level scorer, being a really good defender, and also a very, very underrated athlete too for that time. I think I just gained a different level of appreciation for his game. Again, skill wise, he doesn't stack up with the guys we've already picked, but off of his resume and you know, what he was able to do at that time, you know, you got to show him your respect. So I'm going with Jerry West as my second pick.
Thanks. Who you got, Carl?
I think I can't let Ray drop that much longer. I'm gonna pick Ray Allen.
Okay.
Now, for a while before Steph came along, he was the best shooter ever.
Yeah.
So I gotta take him.
People forget, not even people. I don't think people forget, but because people say it's all the time. But no, his shot creating and what he was doing in Seattle or Milwaukee.
Thank you. It was. Yeah. I advise you all. First of all, watch his infamous movie. I don't even need to say what it is.
Yeah.
Watch his infamous movie, you know. But you all need to watch his highlights before he was with the Celtics. Dude had a crossover and he was getting to the rim.
Athletic.
He wasn't just a shooter. So.
Very athletic.
Yeah. Won a dunk contest too, or he was at least in a dunk contest, wasn't he?
He was in a couple. He might have won it.
Okay. All right. So that's Ray Allen. Who else you got here?
Oh, you got another pick.
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. My turn?
Yes. Let me write Carl's name down first. Go ahead.
Good. Okay. I think I'm going to have to go with Clyde Drexler.
Dope. Clyde Drexler.
Sure.
How tall was he? Because I be thinking he bigger than what he was.
6'6". Yeah. Blake went for Clyde. I'm going to go with get
a good pick in.
Yeah.
This is where it gets hard.
Yeah, give me George Gervin. Give me George Gervin.
Okay, good.
Big time.
Yeah, I got Manu Ginobili.
Ginobili, okay.
All right.
This list may have the most 6 men too. I think
it is. That's why I'm looking at it. I'm like, a lot of these dudes,
yeah,
like 6 men, a whole lot though.
Yeah. You said who'd you say again?
Ginobili.
Manu Ginobili.
Need Shaq in here for that.
Right. Yeah. Who says that? That's Shaq or
That's Shaq. That's Shaq.
Okay.
Oh no, it's Chuck. It's Chuck. You're right.
Who are we going with here, Blake?
Carl, Carl already did his second one?
Yeah, I did mine. Didn't I?
Did you? I think you did.
You went from Manu and did you pick your second?
No, Carl.
Okay, I did my bad. I keep forgetting. Let me get. This one gets tough.
It does get tough here because it's a lot.
I don't want to pick some dudes too early because I feel like I might be missing somebody else.
Because are you kind of looking at some of the modern dudes and you're like, I don't want to pick them way too
early, yeah, but I might have to.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, I might have to pick because I'm gonna pick this dude. He ended up dying when he was like real young. I think in the car accident, but I'm gonna pick Drazen Petrovic.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Josh impressive.
Great. Yeah, he was actually pretty good. He just ended up passing away.
All right. Who you got, Blake?
I think I'm gonna have to go with. You already got Iceman, right?
Yep.
Tadu, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Reggie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Reggie, the best shooter of all time before Ray Allen comes in the league.
Yep.
So Blake,
it's hard to imagine anybody be better than Steph now. I don't know.
And also one of the most underrated 30 for 30 documentaries too. Have you guys seen the Winning Time documentary about him and the Knicks? Great documentary. I'm going to go with, let me get, I feel like we never really got to see the absolute peak of this guy, but for what he was able to bring to Toronto, being their first major athlete or game-changing athlete in the sport of basketball, I'm going with Vince Carter.
Good pick. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Kyrie Irving of the 60s and 70s, or maybe 60s. Did he play in the 70s? I don't think Pete Maravich really played in the 70s. It's probably 60s.
Yeah, he did.
He played in the 70s too? Yeah, I'm going to go with Pete Maravich next.
Yeah. Yep.
And then back to back, I'm going to go with next. I'm going to go. See, it get hard around here. I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, okay. Go ahead, Blake. This is where it kind of gets interesting because now there are a lot of like guys who weren't. Now we're at a point where it's not a lot of guys who had these ridiculous, like absolutely insane careers or whatever, like when you look at the point guard list. But, now it's kind of this point in time where it's a lot of guys who they're Hall of Famers, but it gets really tough around here. So now it's going to get tough choosing your current dudes versus some of your older guys. So you said Donovan Mitchell. So Carl, okay, go ahead, Blake.
Let's see. This is a tough one.
Pick Earl.
I'm trying to choose between three right now. I think I'm gonna have to go with
it's like
Michael Redd.
Michael Redd. Okay, I think he went a little early. I think he went early here. Let me take advantage of this. You skipped a lot of names here. Let me go ahead and get. Let me get Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars was very comparable to Drew Holiday, being kind of a shorter combo guard. Could play the point when asked to, and could also play the two. Jordan mentioned he was the toughest guy. That was like one of the tougher guys that was put on him. Obviously, we talk about the Bad Boys Pistons. We talk about their team effort to stop Jordan. It all kind of started with Joe Dumars. So I'm definitely going to go with him. I'm definitely going to go with Joe Dumars.
I'm kind of surprised you all didn't pick him. I thought Blake was about to pick him.
Ooh.
But my next pick is going to be Brandon Roy. So,
okay.
Because people forget, like, he was basically another version of, like, Tracy McGrady type of Kobe type player, but his prime wasn't that long because he got hurt, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm gonna choose him, and then next, I might have to pick the dude that was slick with the ball. He had handles, and his finger roll was like George Gervin type level. Eddie Jones. Yeah, he was pretty nice.
To me,
he won a ring with Miami. Actually, he was on the team.
He won a ring with Miami. Yep. Yes, he did. He said Eddie Jones. Let me find him on the list. Okay, so who do you have now, Blake?
Book.
Going Book?
Yep.
Okay, Blake is going with Devin Booker. Let me go with. You said Devin Booker. Let me get.
I know exactly who I'm getting next.
Oh, that means I got to pick him in, Blake.
There are a lot of guys skipped here. Let me go with Mitch Richmond. Mitch Richmond had
absolutely. I knew it.
Mitch Richmond had 9 straight seasons of averaging 20 points a game. And I think Jordan mentioned he was one of the tougher guys that he had to guard at the shooting guard position as well. So I'm going to go with Mitch Richmond here.
Okay. I can't believe Good pick. I'm going to have to choose the Max man. Always wore a mask, but he was kind of deadly. 3-and-D. Richard Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton.
I'm going to have to pick Rip. And then Should I pick Mr. They used to call him Mr. 360 because I ain't gonna pick him. Let me see. My bad. Yeah, this is where it gets tough.
As I mentioned, we're kind of at that point where there are some guys on this list who were.
I'm gonna pick Allen Houston. I'm gonna pick Allen Houston.
Allen Houston. I was looking right at him. Allen Houston. Okay, help get that Knicks team to the finals.
It was between him and I don't care. I'm gonna tell you right now, Ben Gordon. I'm thinking lineup wise.
Did you have so you okay?
So yeah, I did 2 picks. I did Allen Houston and I did who did I do?
You did Allen Houston and Rip Hamilton. Yeah, Allen Houston. Yeah, helped get that Knicks team to the finals. That was like a really forgotten Knicks team. Like I think when people talk about their last ring being in the 70s, like that, their last time of being really, really good wasn't too distant.
That like, late 90s.
Yeah, like it's not too distant. And we also have to remember.
Yeah.
That's why I remember in the 90s, they had some really, really good teams that just didn't make it over the top. Like they went to the finals probably twice in the 90s, or maybe once in the 90s. And then I think 2000 was when they made it and then lost to San Antonio because they made it. Didn't they make it?
They might have won once.
No, I thought the Pacers
they went once. It was against
you. Yeah, they went 99. And then 2000 was the Pacers. Then 2001 was the yeah, okay. Yeah.
Nets made it. 2001.
Yeah, they went 99, and then they also in the Hakeem days, they lost to Hakeem in the finals when they had.
Yeah, so it was 2.
Yeah. Okay, so you went and picked who had that last pick? You, Allen Houston. Okay. Now Blake, your next pick is.
Let's see. I think I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna go with Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford. Mm-hmm. Okay. One of arguably the greatest 6 men of all time. I mentioned there's like a bunch of 6 men here.
He still can play today.
If he wanted to come in and right now, I think I saw something like 39 years old. He had like a 50-point game. So yeah. I'm gonna go with I'll go with Jimmy Butler here. One of my favorite players in the NBA today. I'll go with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Let's see.
You got Carl?
I'm trying to see who I want to do my next 2 picks so I can just give them. I think my next 2 are going to be Monte Ellis.
Okay.
And Joe Johnson.
Monte and Joe Johnson?
Yes.
Monte, we just did a post on him too.
That boy spelled his number.
We did a post on him, 25-point a game season. One of those guards in Golden State, kind of in the post Baron Davis era, pre Steph Curry prime era. But he was getting it done.
Pre Giannis era too. He was with the Bucks. Pre Giannis.
He was with the Bucks. Yep. I think his last team was in Dallas. Last team he was in Dallas and then Indiana. He had some solid years there too. Who was you said Monte? Let me write it down here. Monte
Ellis and Joe Johnson.
And Joe Johnson. Okay. Joe Johnson was destroying the big 3 league last time I saw him too.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
And we hit Paul Pierce with that. He still is. He hit Paul Pierce with that down low crossover. I don't know why he reached.
Yeah. Who we going with, Blake?
I'm gonna go with Zach LaVine.
Okay. Zach LaVine. Okay. All right. Let me get Latrell Sprewell here. Go ahead.
The coach.
Great scorer too, and was also on that Knicks team that got to the finals with Allen Houston. So you can put him as a small forward. I remember looking at a list and they kind of had him as a 2. But I'll go ahead and take him. High level score.
What a guy!
Did anybody pick Earl the Pearl yet?
No.
Earl the Pearl Monroe.
You're taking
Earl the Pearl.
Okay, and
then I'm going to follow that up with. That second one is always hard for me. I always get it.
I don't know if we have any. We have like 1 All-Star left here.
We got a couple.
We have a couple actually.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Did Ben Gordon make All-Star? No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
And then next, I'm going to pick C.J. McCollum.
Going with C.J., a non-All-Star.
Yeah.
Who you going with? Here, Blake?
Jason Richardson,
Jay Rich, huh?
It's the 3-6.
Yes, sir. You're going with Jason Richardson. I'm going to go with
hold on.
You gonna pick Drew Holiday?
I looked at him, but I decided not to take him. I'm going to go with I'm a big defensive guy. You guys know that. So I'm going to go ahead and take Michael Cooper, another guy who would give Jordan some tough times defensively in the 80s and was arguably the best defender of the 80s. So I'm going to go with Mike Cooper from the Lakers.
I got Ben Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah, some nice scoring year.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Another bench player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Knock him down. I think one year he almost averaged close to 20.
Yeah.
Coming off the bench, I think. Basically. That year he did. Already picked Earl Monroe. Lou Williams.
Lou Will?
Yeah, sweet Lou.
Question. Better six-man, Lou Will or Jamal Crawford? They both have 3 six-mans, I think.
I would say, who you think number one is? Let me ask you that.
Well, my number one is between those two guys. I'd probably say.
I think Manu is better than both of them.
Manu. Oh, no doubt. Okay, I'm tripping.
Yeah. I think people forget about it.
Okay.
I think he's definitely better.
True. Yeah,
but if you ask me between them two, I'd say Jamal.
I say Jamal too.
Yeah, Jamal,
it's close though.
Very.
I probably actually say Lou Will because I don't know.
You could. It's that close.
Lou Will kind of started to come into emergence. Early 2010s, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when he got.
Yeah. All right. You said Lou Will, and who was your other guy? Did you pick your second?
I said Ben Gordon, didn't I?
Ben Gordon, Lou Will. Okay.
Ben Gordon.
All right. So now your next pick here, Blake, is who?
I think I'm gonna go with Chris Middleton.
K-Mid. Okay. Finally,
he said K-Mid. I ain't never heard nobody call that man K-Mid.
Carl got a different nickname for him.
Oh, Squirrel. Yeah.
You went Chris Middleton. I'm gonna go with
Drew Holiday.
Nah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want him.
Let me go with Danny Ainge.
No, what a guy.
Danny over Dale Curry? I'm taking Dale.
Danny over Dale Curry all day.
I'm taking Dale. Danny, I don't like the way Danny be looking. I'm choosing Dale. Jason Terry.
Yeah, so you got two catch and shoot guys. So Carl and then Jason Terry. Okay. Now, Blake, who do you have? We're almost done here.
Al Korver.
Okay.
I want to pick Korver.
Yes, Sirski.
Another dude you can argue for that top 5 all-time shooting because he had a year or a stretch of years where he had like consecutive games with the made 3 or whatever. He used to just go crazy. So I definitely see that one.
He was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta, his best day.
Got an all-star there too. Everybody got an all-star. Everybody got an all-star that year.
Every single body that was okay.
Yeah. I think we're getting down to the last few here. I think we're down to the last 2, I think, actually.
Oh, so I might get to.
Make y'all picks.
We're between Steve Smith and Drew Holiday. I'm going to go with Drew.
Yeah, Steve, Carl.
I got Steve. I like Steve anyway better.
Okay. So,
I ain't had the best team this time.
I did. I know I did. Just because
I know the point guards I did by far, but I'm not.
I had the best team because of one person. Y'all know who.
This one's tough to measure because I think there's just less star power relative to the point guard spot. Like there was just like when you talk about probably 20 guys in the point guard thing, it got really, really tough.
Yeah, because once y'all picked Kobe and Mike, I was like, damn, I don't.
You go D Wade, then Iverson, then
but D Wade ain't know Kobe and stuff. But I was really out the dry.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely got tough near the end of it. But those are our teams. I'm gonna repeat it again next episode so you guys so we all can judge who had the best squad so far. I think I drafted pretty damn well today. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure anybody's fully confident as to who had. I don't know how confident you guys are. I think Blake
obviously had the best team.
I think I definitely had the worst because after you all, like I said, picked Kobe and Mike. I feel like I picked D Wade and Allen Iverson, but it's you all named 2 of the top 3 players ever.
You also kind of let a couple guys slip too. I don't know. I think we did pretty well in it. But
I mean, I did. I guess I did get Klay Thompson and Manu and Ray. So
yeah, everybody got some good pieces. It got interesting towards the end of it all. But yeah, that's what we got for y'all. Next episode, we're back doing the small forwards. And like the video, subscribe, download us, and all that good stuff. And we will see you all on, I keep forgetting the dates, Thursday for the next episode, right? Let's go.
Yep.
All right, y'all.